Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be showing you how I created this poster. I created this a couple of years ago, and I found this poster design. Let me drag this over here and just kind of make it a little bit larger. Right here, I found this poster on Pinterest a few years ago, and I loved the overall design and the composition of it. Just it really does make you feel like you're like looking up into these lights or whatever they are. And I just thought it was really, really cool. So I was like, well, what can I do as like a personal project or just a personal poster just for fun, whatever, to, kind of use this as inspiration. And I knew exactly what it was. So I'm going to take you a little bit on a journey just here for a second before we get started. So this right here is a roller coaster called Chaos. It was a roller coaster called Chaos, sadly. It was a roller coaster that was at Opryland, USA in Nashville, and it was a fantastic roller coaster. All indoors. It was actually one of two in the entire world that were like this, and the other one is still standing. It's called Revolution. It's over in Belgium, but it was a really fun roller coaster. And so as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, now like I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do something very similar to this, and excuse me, I still have that cough. It's lingering. Anyway, do something very similar to this with the roller coaster Chaos. And so I decided to put this together right here. And so we've got Chaos, and then it says the roller coaster of the future, and then the Opryland logo down here in the bottom left. Now, this isn't the final version of the poster. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to recreate this poster and just kind of show you how I did it. However, I'm going to be recreating this version of the poster. So basically, what happened was eventually it did start out like this right here, but eventually went over to this, and it was actually a happy mistake that it ended up like this. But I just love how I love this better than this one right here. I don't have anything against this. I think it's really cool. I just think that it works better for this, and then also it kind of ties in a little bit more with the logo. And I don't know if you can see. I don't know how well you can see my shirt, but I'm wearing a Chaos shirt, and hopefully you can see it. Anyway, I've had this shirt for, 23 years, I believe. 23, 24 years, something like that. And it has a couple of holes in it, but I figured I'd dig it out of the closet and put it on for this video. So anyway, so now what we're going to do is I am going to go ahead and create a new artboard. And I'm not going to be, I'm going to cheat just a little bit. And it's really just for bringing together some elements that are kind of already, that are really just already there as individual elements. So let's go ahead and copy and paste this. We just have a black background. I'm going to center that. For now, I'm going to lock it. And let's see here. I don't remember the font that I used, but I'm just going to go ahead and use... Let's see. Let's go ahead and cycle through and get this bigger so we can see it. And there's one that I used a few days ago, the Acumen. I really like this one a lot. But I think that, let's see. Let's try this one and just kind of see how it looks. I want to say that it's possible that I used Poppins for this one. I think that's, well, no, it's not quite the same. Let's see. I don't think it was Railway. I don't usually use Railway. And it's actually not even on my computer. So, let's see. Is Gotham not on here? I guess it's not. That's fine. I'll just use Montserrat. Montserrat. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. But, you know what? I'm still not really sold on that. It's not Helvetica, is it? Let's see. I don't think so. It's a lot bolder. All right, I think I'm just gonna go with Acumen. So let's go with Acumen, and let's get probably the boldest one that we can get. Well, I don't want to do ultra black. I think black is gonna be just fine. All right, so we'll do that. All right, so the roller coaster of the future. So the first thing we're gonna do is here, now that we've got the type that we need to get. Let's see. Let's type out the word chaos. And let's see if I can remember exactly how I did this. It's actually pretty simple. So let's go ahead and get our kerning correct. you followed any of my videos in the past, you know kerning is very, very crucial, and you should be kerning just about everything that you type out. All right, so that word is not going to change, so we are going to convert it to outlines. And now I'm just going to copy, and by holding Option and Shift on the keyboard, just kind of bring it down. And let's see, there are 6 total. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now I'm going to grab all of these, rotate it just like that. And I'm trying to remember if I did any kind of distortion on this. I don't think that I did. I don't think I did any kind of distortion. I think it just laid there kind of like that. So now we'll just hit Shift and X and switch them over to stroke. And I think there's a possibility. Let me go into Effect, Distort, and then Free Distort. And I just want to see if we can do something, you know, kind of interesting with it. I'd rather group them all together first, so let's do that. Free Distort. There's part of me that kind of wants it to maybe do something kind of like this. But I may end up not doing that, but we'll see. Yeah, not a big fan of how that turned out. Okay, I think I'm just going to leave it like this. And let's see, let's rotate it about like this. And then, so what I'll do here, like when I say I'm going to cheat just a little bit, I'm just going to use the color dropper to pick up on those colors. So I don't even know if really you'd consider that cheating. All right, so let's reset the bounding box. This is already grouped together, so let's push this over to the right and push it to the bottom, and then maybe move it up by 2 inches or so. And then we're going to lock this anchor point and go something like that. I think that looks good. This doesn't have to be exact. I'm not going to be creating it exactly the way that it is. It's really just to show you the techniques that I'm using. So let's go ahead and color each one of these. I definitely could have done this earlier, and it probably would have been easier, but that's why they made the lasso select tool. So there you go. So we're just going to select the C's, and let's go ahead and just pick up those yellows right there. And we'll go same thing here with the H. And we'll just grab, let's see, I believe it's orange. Yep, very good. So this roller coaster was very, at the time, you know, 1989 is when it opened, and it was very futuristic for its time period. You know, heck, even now it would probably be considered really innovative. It's just a really unique roller coaster. I highly recommend that you go do some research on it. There's pretty much no footage, like no on-ride footage. There's one video that was uploaded to YouTube for the first time ever, to my knowledge, just a few months ago. I think it's definitely within the past 6 months, I would say. And there's actually some on-ride footage of it, but it's one of those roller coasters that, you know, it lasted for, you know, between 89 and 98, I believe. So it was open for less than 10 years, and it was open, you know, during a time period where people just didn't really record on-ride footage of roller coasters. It just kind of wasn't a thing yet. So, okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go through, and it's actually very simple. I'm just going to use the pen tool where basically all of the points where there is like a corner point or like a reference point on each one of the individual letters. And basically all we do is just do a pin like from here to here, like that. And so what I'm going to do, before I get started, I'll just kind of tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the pen tool going from each one of those points where it's going to be, and then bring it up basically to the same spot. That way I can select all of them, and I can move them if I want to, move them to the left, move them to the right. But basically I'm just going to be able to select all of those anchor points at the same time if I bring them to the same point. So I'm just going to do that. And since this part is very, very repetitive and tedious and you already kind of know what I'm doing, I'm just going to speed up this portion of the video so that you don't have to hear me talk, or I don't have to talk while I'm doing it, and you could just watch along as I do it. So here I go. I'm just going to speed up this portion of the video. All right, so that part is done. Very, very tedious area, but there were a couple of things where I kind of got hung up a little bit. Just in a couple of areas where I was making just a couple of mistakes. There was one part where I accidentally connected one path to another end path, essentially closing the loop on the path. And so I had to go back in and kind of break that connection so I could free both of those paths up again. But we got it all figured out. So the cool thing about this right here is now I can select the A key right here, the direct selection, and select all of these. So I can grab these. Oh wait, you know what? I gotta unlock everything else first. Okay, there we go. So I can grab all of these and I can move these anywhere I want. So if I want them to come from this direction, I can do that as well. But I prefer them to come from off of the page like this, to kind of look like, you know, the words chaos are just kind of being shown from all these different directions, essentially creating some chaos. So, all right. So now I'm going to go over here, and the majority of the hard work is actually done. So from this point, all we have to do is play around with a little bit of the type right here. I don't think I'm going to change too much. I really like the fact that it's outlined and it's white like that, and then the future has those different colors there. I think that's really cool. So I'm not going to change too much of this, but I am just going to kind of bring this down in size a little bit more, maybe down to 70, and we'll bring that leading up a little bit more. So I'm going to hit create outlines and then ungroup everything so that I can eventually recolor those letters over there. And I'm going to push this in by 2 inches, and we'll set it maybe 6 inches down. I like that right there. And then for the colors, I'll just kind of color drop this right here, and I think that I just went in order right here. So yellow, orange, pink, purple, and then blue, and then just started back to yellow again. I like to find patterns anywhere that I can, especially if I'm calling from other colors from the design and kind of following those patterns as well. All right, so the only thing that I'm going to copy and move over, and the only reason I'm not recreating this is because it took me forever to recreate it the first time. So I'm just going to bring this over here, and that's the only thing that I'm going to cheat with is just that right there. Okay, so now that I'm looking at these and just kind of comparing these two right here, from what I remember, I think that I did some kind of a 3D modeling or like some kind of a distortion. I don't remember exactly how I did it, but now after seeing them, obviously the design on this one is better. So I'd like to go back and and learn how I did that, or just kind of relearn how I did that. But I am just going to proceed with this right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy each one of these over to Photoshop, but I'm going to do it individually. And we'll see why in just a second. So let's go over into Photoshop. Now this is what the finished product actually looks like once all of the effects are applied in Photoshop. And basically I'll just do the same thing again. since all of these are like individual layers and everything, I'm just going to kind of move them over. So this is, I believe, 18 by 24. Yeah, that's right. So now create a new document. 18. And I add in that extra 1/4 inch there for bleed. All right, so color fill. This is basically just a background color. I'm going to drop that in there. This is my paper effect. It's kind of going in. And I believe it's a photocopy pattern that I found on some website. Thought it was really, really cool, and I've used it a lot. All right, so I'm going to drop this in as a vector smart object, kind of bring this over here. And let me set up a guide layout real quick, so I know exactly where to put all these things. All right, so now I'm gonna select. I'm gonna lock this real quick. Lock this so I can select all of this, and this should select everything. So copy, paste as a smart object always, just about always. And now I'm just gonna bring this to about. Oh, you know what? I'm missing some stuff. Let's do this. Let's lock the Opryland logo. There we go. Forgot to grab those paths as well. So now we should be good. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we'll just kind of move this over here. And originally when I was putting this together, it was really just kind of like, you know, the idea of it was, you know, maybe you would see a poster for this, maybe sold in the park, or, you know, like some kind of an advertisement around town or something like that, or maybe even on a billboard. Obviously this would be a, you know, landscape if it were going to be on a billboard. Okay, so we've got all of those things laid out. Let's see what's next up here. So we got this, and let's see what effects we had on here. Looks like we had a bevel and emboss. So I'm just going to bring this over and just going to copy those effects down to this new one right here. So in Photoshop, if you ever want to copy effects from one layer to another, just hold down on your Option key and click on the effects and click and drag it down to the new one that you want to apply it to. I believe on Windows, I think it may be Alt. I'm not 100% sure though. I'm sorry, I'm not a Windows user. Let's see, I am going to do something I didn't do last time though, which is I'm going to name these layers. So shame on me, I should be doing it. I know I should be doing it every time, but I don't always do it, and I'm sorry. Okay, looks like the roller coaster of the future also had that bevel and emboss, so we'll just kind of copy that over to the tagline. And did the Opryland logo have it? It may have. Let's see. Looks like it's all on the same. Yeah, it's all on the same layer in that old file. Interesting. Okay. So now we'll just copy. Make sure that they all have the bevel and emboss. This is something that you can't really see unless you actually get right up on it, so you can kind of see what that effect looks like. It's real subtle. But I actually do have a printout of this poster, and you actually can see the bevel and emboss on the printout. And then at this point, I'm just gonna copy and drag over the stars or the sparkles, and let's line this up. I will have to go through, just because we have a different composition, I will have to go through and just kind of place those individually. But these sparkles right here, I believe I found these. I don't remember where I found them. So make sure that, like for something like this, I'm making sure that I have auto select on, so I can just grab these right here. I'm going to turn off, I think my extras. Yeah, turn off my extras. This should turn off the smart guides. There we go. This way I can just place this exactly where I want to place them. And really, you can, you know, when you're doing sparkles and everything, you kind of want them to be a little bit random, but, you know, you can just kind of put them anywhere. I'm sorry, I completely got off track there. So the sparkles that I found, I think it was some kind of a free resource or something where you could just it may have actually been part of an overall design, and I just went in and took out the sparkles. I don't know. I do know that I've had them for a long time. So I've used them in a lot of different designs, and they really do come in handy for retro things like this. So just kind of go in and, you know, just place them randomly. Just kind of do something like this right here. And for this, I just did this on the bottom layer. You know, I could have done it everywhere, but that would have been a little overkill, I think. I think it would have been a little bit too much. I mean, we already have all of these individual layers for these stars, so it's already a bit much as it is. But you know, we're talking about a time period where they really kind of knew no bounds when it came to stuff like this. You'd see like 1 million stars or something. You know, now if it were done, you'd see maybe three to 5 stars. And you know, I'm all for simplicity and everything. I'm all for minimalism, but this kind of design really does, this kind of style really does have its time and place. And really, I would just go even further to say it has its place. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's strictly limited to a particular time period. So, what I'm going to do is, since it's going to take me a few minutes and I don't want to run out of things to talk about, is I'm just going to speed up this portion of the video while I place the rest of these stars. All right, I got all those stars placed where I wanted to put them, and now let's just kind of apply the final layers on top, and I'll just do them individually so you can see exactly what's going on. So this right here is a grain layer that we're just going to put over the top of everything. I want the sparkles to sit on top of everything too, so let's collapse these really quick and let's bring the sparkles all the way to the top, except for the rest of the effects. So our grain layer, gonna center it right there. Let's see. This layer right here looks like another paper layer, possibly to kind of bring out a little bit more of those fine details. We will bring up a hue and saturation layer, which is applying only to this one right here, and it looks like we may be changing the color of it through there, but we'll just kind of pin it to, oh wait, one second, I'm supposed to be grabbing this layer. Oh yeah, auto select is on. There we go. Looks like, you know what, I think I may have made a mistake there. Let's see, let's go back. Okay, yeah, because I was supposed to grab this layer, not the grain layer again, which is what I did. Sorry. All right, there we go. Now it's starting to look better. All right, so now let's grab this paper layer, the one that's got like a beige or actual paper color, like a faded paper color. And now we'll bring this hue and saturation, which then we will pin to that right there. Good. And then it looks like we have another grain layer that sits on top of this paper layer with the hue and saturation adjustment. And then the hue and saturation is applying to everything at the top. Very cool. All right, so our colors. Let's see. Okay, it looks like everything is exactly the same, but of course, you know, the design of it is a little bit different, and it's also, I think, I mean, obviously, I would still go with this design right here, but I think this one is easier to read. So, let's see here. I think that's everything that I wanted to include in this. Got all the stars exactly where I want them. The roller coaster of the future. So here we go. This very retro style, very 80s and early 90s-ish kind of thing going on, where we have this really dark background. We got some stars going on and these real nice, bright neon type of lights. that are all kind of converging together up at the top. And I love like how it's actually creating some sparkles. Let's go ahead and zoom in and look up at the top here. Very, very cool, very retro type of thing going on. And of course, you could apply some final finishing effects to this to give it a little bit more of that retro vibe. I think kind of looking at this without just directly copying those layers over, I think that would probably go in and really amp up the saturation here, because everything back in that time period was super colorful. So, but it is looking really cool. This is super colorful, and I hope you learned something as we recreated this from Illustrator, took it into Photoshop, and then finished up with the effects. I hope that in that entire process you were able to learn something. So I appreciate you watching. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and also click the bell for notifications to be notified of all new content. It really helps me out when you do that, so I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.